Okay, so long story short, a few days ago I heard a knock on the door. Now, I knew that this couldn't be any visitors because of the restrictions that are in place. And so I knew that it had to be the Panasonic Lumix GH1. I opened the door and to my surprise, there it was on the ground, the GH1 from 2009. And boy, was I excited to go ahead and test it out in the field. And here it is in my hand. Let's go check it out. Hey guys, Zeek here. So glad you can join me. In today's video, we're going to take a look at photo samples and video samples of the Panasonic Lumix GH1, as well as revisiting the features that were around at the time, 2009. Alright, so let's get the specs out of the way. The Panasonic GH1 has a micro four thirds sensor. It was the first of its kind in the Panasonic group to have a flip out screen in such a small little body. The sensor is 14 megapixel or 12.1 effective. The camera itself weighs 385 grams, so it's extremely light. The viewfinder has 1440K or 1.4 million dots. And Panasonic claimed that the viewfinder used on the GH1 is the exact same viewfinder used on the higher end Panasonic video camera models. Now looking at the GH1 body, you can see that it has all the buttons for your needs. You got your ISO button, your white balance, and you got your focus clarification button, you got the menu. And then on the top, you have your mode dial, so you can switch between movie mode, manual mode, creative mode. Then you have your burst modes as well as film mode. So this allows you to change your picture profile with just the tap of a button. And then on the left dial, you can switch between manual focus and autofocus continuous. And then right at the top, we have our left and right stereo mic. I've actually tested it, it's not that bad, but I would use an external microphone instead. On the top, you also have a shutter release button, which is nice and silver plated. Feels really nice in hand. Got your playback button, and then you have a dedicated video record button, which is fantastic. I know that in the newer Panasonic cameras, the record button's on the top, but I actually like it being on the side. You can just click like that rather than, using your index finger on the top. Now on the bottom here, you have the battery department, and this battery is like a brick. Look at that. Absolute 2009 worthy. On the side, you have your SD card placement, and then on the left side of the body, you have an AV digital out, and you have a HDMI mini. I know that a lot of cameras that come out these days, especially with the small mirrorless designs, they tend to go with the HDMI micro. I mean, just please put a HDMI mini at least, or a full HDMI size thing. Away with the micros, those are old school, they break, and they're just not trustworthy. Now here's the GH1, here is the Canon M50. Look at them side by side, they look so identical. I mean, 11 years have passed. Has much changed to you guys? But the GH1 just has a few things right, like the mini HDMI and the SD card located on the side of the camera rather than on the bottom. Now looking at the video specs, the Panasonic GH1 shoots 1080i 1920 by 1080 with a data rate of 17 megabits per second. Now 17 megabits per second is very, very low in detail, especially for 1080p. These days you get cameras that shoot 100 megabits per second and more in 4K, so you get much more quality there. You can crop in and still get some beautiful detail going. Now with the GH1 and GH2 series, you can hack the camera to increase the megabits per second. Now I compared these two cameras, the GH1 and the M50. Both are brilliant cameras in their own regards or respect, but I have to say that the GH1, to my surprise, came out on top in the 1080p mode. Here is a comparison. Alright, so do keep in mind that this is a micro four third camera. What I'm going to do right now is compare it between a APS-C sized sensor camera. This is the Canon M50, and I'm pretty much going to use the exact same setup that I'm using on the GH1 with the speed booster and the Sigma and the Rode Video Micro. So let's go ahead and switch cameras. Alright, so right now we're shooting with the Canon M50, the Sigma 31.4 and the Viltrox speed booster, and I'm using the Rode Video Micro to record the audio. Now this is the GH1 in my hand. This is what it looks like. And we're using the glorious dual pixel autofocus. So that's what those two cameras look like. What do you guys think? The Panasonic GH1 or the M50? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so before we get into the video samples, in terms of photography, I was absolutely blown away with the GH1. I took heaps of raw samples on the GH1, 16:9 at 10 megapixels. And what I could see that the detail was definitely there, the beautiful colors were there, and I just didn't touch anything in post. I pretty much just dropped the files into Final Cut, and this is exactly what you're seeing, the raw samples from the GH1. Once I set the white balance correct in camera, there was pretty much nothing to do in post. And I can highly recommend this for vlogging, Instagram, especially with that flip out screen. This flip screen is definitely gonna come in handy when you need to do some portraits of yourself or others, or if you need to try to get some, unique compositions and stuff like that. This is definitely gonna come in handy. All right, so looking at the video, it's pretty much hacked and it shoots 8-bit 420 in camera subsampling, but with the hack, you can get around 422 colors, depending on the hack that you download. And here are some samples that are shot with the speed booster, the Sigma 31.4, and the hacked Lumix GH1. To me, it gives that retro look, something of the 90s or early 2000s. It just has this TV or broadcast type of look to it that I absolutely love. Now, all this footage that you're seeing, it's pretty much unedited. It's straight from camera, and I just wanted to show you guys without filtering or color grading what you can get straight out of the camera. Now, I did buy this camera for 130 bucks, and I can say that it's definitely worth that price. I wouldn't spend more than 150 because you can get the GH2, GH3, or even the Panasonic Lumix G7, which shoots great video as well. But I just find the colors coming out of the GH1 are just so natural in comparison to the GH7, which I also had. With that camera, I just had to play around with the colors and do some more tweaking in post to get the colors to look natural. Whereas on the GH1, the colors are just natural straight out of the camera. Now, looking at the menu system, it's really easy to function. All the menus are there. You can change your video modes and colors and autofocus, manual focus, histogram. All the settings are there in the menu, and it's super easy to navigate through different functions and settings and get the shots that you want. All right, so with the GH1, I'm going to attach a TV lens. This is a B4 mount lens, and I have a B4 to EOS adapter. I'm going to put it on the speed booster. I'm going to go ahead and play with this thing. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so that's it. That's the revisit of the Panasonic Lumix GH1 in 2020. Such a nostalgic camera. And I mean, for a camera of this age, it compares with other cameras that have come out just a few years ago, even in 2020. HDMI mini, flip out screen, SD card on the side. I still think it's a modern camera for its age. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy the photos or the videos coming out of this camera? Let me know in the comments below. And it's such a worthy camera, even in 2020, in comparison to its competitors. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.